everybody, so welcome to yet another Storytime video, and today we are going to be talking about how my ex-boyfriend completely screwed me over. And stay tuned towards the end of the video for a crazy, exciting announcement! I met this guy at my job. He had came in, and like the first thing that I noticed about him was that he had like the Jared Leto like Joker tattoo on his hand, and that's what had caught my attention. And that day, like, he was just kind of like mean and distant, but point is, eventually him and I started talking and we became friends. And at first it was just kind of like play dates because he had two girls that are the same age as my kids, like around the same age, and they got along really well, which was really awesome. For the longest time, like, I friend zoned him just because our kids like had this like friendship that was like building, and me and him had this friendship that was building, and I kind of didn't, you know, want to ruin that with like a relationship. And he said that he wanted to take a step back because, you know, he was catching feelings for me. But I was like, shoot, like maybe we should just give this a try. Eventually him and I started dating, and we went on a few dates, and then I noticed right away some girls started commenting like on our pictures and like our comments that we would send to each other back and forth, and she would say like some really disturbing things. Like one time she was like, oh yeah, you beat good, like I know you do. And for like the longest I wouldn't say anything, and until like him and I got together and she didn't stop her comments, I was like, I'm not comfortable with this, and he blocked her. So the very next day I woke up to a long ass message from this random girl and apparently she had two Facebook profiles, and she decided to comment on my profile with her second profile that was not blocked. And she was like, oh, your boyfriend is so dirty and disgusting, and you know, he was like that with me too. He makes girls feel like they're everything, and then he completely screws them over. He treats them like trash. You don't know who you're dating. You don't know who you're f***ing with. And she posted this on my profile, so my family saw this, my friends saw this, and I was just so humiliated and so devastated because him and I had literally just got together and this girl was already ruining everything. I was just so upset. But so right away he wrote a long ass message on my Facebook, and he apologized to my family and friends, and he basically says that he really cared about me and that he wouldn't hurt me. I got a really weird, message from this guy, and we're gonna call this guy Bob. That's gonna be his name. And Bob was a friend that I had on Facebook for like months before, and he was like, hey, like, are you sure you can trust your boyfriend? Which I thought was kind of a strange question, but I was like, yeah, Bob, I can trust my boyfriend. One night I was having like a minor panic attack, and I kind of wanted him to come over just because I needed that comfort. Basically what had happened was, like, he said that he couldn't because his sister and her husband were having issues. The next day I noticed that he was writing back and forth between this girl, and of course that's gonna catch my attention, and I clicked on it. And I guess she was in the area. He was like, hey, why didn't you tell me you were in the area? I wasn't doing anything. We could have like done something together. And in my head I was like, what? Like, didn't you just tell me last night that you couldn't be with me because you were trying to solve your sister's issues? And like, instead of spending time with me when I was having a panic attack and lying to me, you're over here saying that you weren't doing anything and you'd rather hang out with some random girl. So that upset me a lot, and then I confronted him about it, and he got all defensive, and he's like, I can't have friends. And that's the thing, like, that day I had noticed that he was like, he had liked all of her selfies like in a row, and I noticed that. And I even screenshotted it and I showed him the picture, and then I was like, this is not just a friend, you're liking all her pictures, and like, you did it all in one sitting. You literally went back and liked all of her photos. Like, I don't know, was I being too much? And his response to that was, oh, I don't remember doing that. Whenever somebody would try to flirt with me, whenever somebody would try to, you know, like hit on me or anything like that, I would always tell him about it. And I would never ever like flirt with anyone because I was in a relationship. So I even told him about the Bob guy. Like, this Bob guy had asked me for my phone number, and his excuse was, I have no other friends that like Harry Potter. Can I have your phone number so we could talk on the phone? And I told this Bob guy I wasn't comfortable with that. And then Bob started asking me all these weird questions. He was like, oh, your boyfriend seems kind of controlling. Do you think he's controlling? Just weird questions, like trying to find out how I feel about my boyfriend. At the time, I didn't know why Bob cared so much about how I felt about my boyfriend. Until one night, my boyfriend had gone to the bathroom and he was charging his phone. And I'm pretty sure you guys know where this is going. But he was charging his phone, and I had replied to Bob, and my boyfriend's phone had rang. And I was like, ha, like that's kind of funny. I messaged him again, and my boyfriend's phone rang again. And I was like, oh my goodness, this explains so much. Pulled my boyfriend's phone off the charger, and I put it down next to me, because I didn't have his password at the time. My boyfriend had stepped out of the bathroom, and I had messaged Bob as soon as he came in the room. And I was like, hey, I think you got a message. And my boyfriend's face drained of color. And I was like, is there something that you want to tell me? He told me that he was Bob, he made this fake profile, and that he's like, you have to understand, this is how I found out that my ex-girlfriend had been cheating on me. And he's like, but you've been so faithful to me, and you've honestly been the most loyal girl that I've ever been with. And I was like, still, like, you don't do that. Like, I've been cheated on and screwed over. You don't see me creating fake profiles. Like, that really upset me, because I'm honestly a really honest person. And like, for him to do that, to create a fake profile just because he can't trust me when I have been nothing but honest with him to that point, like, I was just so upset. And then he's like, you know, yeah, like, I should just trust you, like, you don't even ask to see my phone. And I was like, yeah, like, let's see how you like it. And I grabbed his phone. Then I noticed that he had been adding girls on his messenger and having chats with random girls. And then through the fake profile, he was also talking to girls. No wonder you don't want me to see your phone. No wonder you don't give me the code to your phone. And I never asked for it because I thought I could trust him. That's another thing about him. Like, he doesn't apologize. He doesn't believe, at the time he told me that he doesn't believe in apologies, that it shows weakness. And I was like, wow, like, okay. And he was like, you know what, we should just end it then, huh? And he left. And I literally had to go after him. So anyways, eventually, like, we got over that. Like, he went through like a really rough patch where he lost his job, he couldn't see his kids, he was so stressed. Like, I decided to take him to Vegas, and I paid for everything. And I literally, and this is how it would be. Like, I had a job, so I would pay for him, I would buy things for him, I would like always do that. And I paid for our whole Vegas trip. He did not pay one single penny, because I cared about him and because I wanted him to be happy. I didn't want him to be stressed out. Eventually, like, we got into a huge fight over like some like Instagram thing. Like, he kept liking another girl's pictures, and I was like, you know what, like, I know what this means. By now I know what this means when you start liking all these girls' pictures. Like, I know what this means. Like, so can you just please not do that? He had just gotten his job, another job, and he was like, you know, I'm such in a good mood right now, don't talk to me, you know. And then I posted our relationship problem. I was petty, and I posted it on Facebook, you know, because that's the thing, like, he would do it all the time. And then as soon as I did it, he was like, go ahead and post our problems on Facebook, you're so pathetic. And then I told him, like, I'm trying to save our relationship here. And he's like, then respect what the I am saying and leave me alone. He's like, I swear if you reply to my messages, I'm breaking up with you. I put it on my kids that I'm gonna break up with you. And then he goes off and off and off and off and like telling me off and being so disrespectful towards me. He was like, but still don't reply to me. And then he would go off on me again and talk shit to me again. And then he'd be like, but don't reply to me or else I'm gonna break up with you. So I gave him a space. I didn't reply for 2 days. And then 2 days later I get a text. We need to talk. I'm like, yeah, I know. And eventually I went to his car and he was like, you know, you guys, he had just gotten his first paycheck, by the way. Let's keep that in mind, okay? Over the course of the weekend when we weren't talking. So he goes, you know what, like honestly, these past 2 days that I haven't been with you, I've been so happy. I've been happier without you. I was like, okay. And then he was like, I want to be with you, but at the same time I don't. And I was like, you know what, like let me stop you there. I have been giving you nothing but my 100% from the very beginning. You get upset when other guys even look at me and you end up getting mad at me. And I still try to keep the peace. I've always been there for you. I've been nothing but good to you. You know, I told him, thank you. You made me realize that I'm an amazing girlfriend and that I give my all when I really care about somebody. And you also made me realize that I am ready for a serious relationship. And so I told him, I was like, you know what, I gave my all. I gave 110% and I honestly deserve that back. I deserve 100% and you're obviously not going to give me that, so bye. And I walked out and that was the longest walk of my life. And that night was fucking horrible. I tried watching Harry Potter movies to make me feel better. I was throwing up all night, crying all night, but after that I shook it off and I was like, you know what, that's it, you're done crying for this person. Like, that's it. 2 weeks later, he comes to my doorstep and he's like, you know, I'm so sorry, like I regret everything I said to you. And we tried dating again, exclusively. And that lasted for about a week till I found out that he was talking to other women again. I had put a comment on the girl's like profile and I was like, wow, you're doing this again? Like, okay. And the girl messaged me and she was like, is that your man? Because he's been trying to hit me up all week. And that was that. That was the end of that. And so stay tuned for part 2 because I am actually going to be confronting him and he is going to be in the video with me. So stay tuned for part 2. Bye!